Welcome to Deadman's Tales. I'm your host, Deadman. Today, we're looking at a story from r/nosleep. Story title: Why I Always Close the Windows Before I Sleep. Back when I was a kid, my imagination was pretty good and kept me busy. My parents weren't around much, and I needed to amuse myself. We lived in a small town with plenty of woods to play games in. At first, I liked drawing, but I was never any good at it. I had so many pictures in my head and ideas I would have loved to put on paper, but they never turned out how I wanted. So later I realized my imagination could be my reality. I used to play a game. I would imagine a person parkouring around the buildings, woods, and everything in between. It trying to keep up with me and following me. I was 8 years old when I started this hobby, if you could call it that. Looking outside every window, seeing a person, more shadow-like than a real person, jumping around like a total badass. I know it sounds dumb for someone that age, but it kept me busy. No one knew I did this, except my brother. I told him, and of course, as an older brother, he made fun of it. Not so much of me, just my hobby. He thought it was strange. But that never stopped me from enjoying seeing my ninja-like shadow jump around. Even in the car, I would try and let him keep up with us. And over the years, the shadow moved more realistically. I gave it more details, things like eyes, hair, and a thing I was really proud of, a voice. It did not sound like me at all, and at the time, it didn't worry me. I had made a friend for myself. It was 2014 when I turned 13. I thought I was getting too old for those kind of games. And to be fair, I probably was getting too old. I found other friends and interests. For a month, I totally forgot about my shadow friend, but I could swear, even though I never gave it much thought, I could still see it following me. Not much at first, but over the next 2 months, I swear, I could see it more and more. And weirdly enough, it got more detailed. I never gave it feet, I remember that. And it never came close to me when I used to play that stupid game. One night, I was lying in bed. I looked outside my window, and I had never seen the shadow stand still, but it stood there, just standing, looking at me, through my window. It had so many details, I never remembered giving it. It, now standing there, with teeth and long hair, but no face, speaking to me. Why did you stop playing with me? I was scared and just closed my eyes, hoping it'd leave me alone. I remember, though, not getting much sleep that night. For the next week, I closed my window and the blinds. One night, my mom came in around 10 p.m. She saw me still playing on my PC, talking with friends. She said I should head to bed, and so I did. She was complaining about the heat in my room, and said I should let some fresh air in. She opened my curtains and my window. I fell asleep soon after that. I woke up to a soft, deep and little distorted voice, but I did not recognize said voice. I looked around the room, but didn't see anything, so I tried to fall asleep again. "When will you play with me again?" I heard, coming from outside. I knew where it was coming from the second time I heard its voice. Now, much lower in pitch than I made it all those years ago. I didn't want to look, but it felt like I had no choice. I turned around and looked outside the window. To my surprise, I saw nothing there. I looked around my room once more. "Why did you stop thinking of me?" Hearing this made me look at the window once more. What I saw standing there was nothing like I remembered creating as a kid. It now had a smile on its face, made out of teeth more resembling fangs. It didn't seem like the being was happy. It looked confused and sad. Its long hair now had some kind of dark black liquid dripping out of it. The drops were steaming as they hit the ground. It was more thin, but much taller than before. His eyes were almost glowing white, missing an iris. Just a black dot in the middle of its eyes. The shape of it was deforming, as I stared at them, not being able to look away from the being I once made. It looked like it was crying. It looked sad. It reached to my window, opening it further, with long, slim, black fingers, leaking the same liquid its hair was leaking. One of its nails screeching over one of the glass windows. I wanted to scream my lungs out, but I couldn't. Its legs, with claws like feet, slowly entering my room. "We can play again," it said, now standing next to me. It was reaching out for my arm. I was tearing up, and my vision turned blurry, but I swear it was changing itself. When it touched my arm, it felt wet and extremely hot. It dragged me out of bed. After this, I could finally let out a scream, filled with pure terror and distress. "Shh! Be sweet. You can make us happy again," it said, as it dragged me closer to the window. My dad rushed in the room. He found me on the ground with a burn mark on my arm, and the dark liquid laying on the ground. The creature rushed out the window, bending its limbs in inhuman ways. It broke one of the panes of glass of the window as it left. After the events of that night, I never stopped closing my windows and window curtain before I fell asleep. I'm 18 now, and I hadn't seen it for at least 5 years. But the reason I'm writing this now is because I swear I saw a shadow behind my curtain, moving and changing shapes. What scares me most, so did my dad. Oh, well, that's the end of the story. A powerful imagination can bring dark, dark things. Thanks again for watching Dead Man's Tales.